unless you can tell us how is your experience going on with Talent Weekend, so that people who coming and let them know about you, that you are the owner of Talent Weekend.
ठीक है. No worries. वो भी सबको आने दे, फिर I'll just give a brief intro of myself and then we'll get started with the slides. ठीक है?
Great. I think participants have started joining. We should start to keep up the respective punctuality of the time. So, Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is Mariam Salman from Institute of Emerging Careers, and Institute of Emerging Careers, a short background about it, that it helps training and placing tech talent. So, I cordially welcome all the participants to have streamed in right now, and we'll be sharing the recordings inshallah later on our platform. So, according to this session, we have our co-host Ms. Asma Salman over here.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Asma Salman as a co-host of this session. I hope everyone is doing fine.
So this is like IEC's first conference with 50 plus of the speakers, which will be going on till 20th November. So this is day 2 and session 2 with AYESHA SHAHBAZ, and it is titled as How Gen Z Work at How to Celebrate Small Wins, which helps you continuous learning. So we have Miss AYESHA SHAHBAZ over here. She is founder of Talent Beacon. She helps and trains the young talent according to their professional development. So let's hear from her. Over to you, Miss Aisha.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for the lovely introduction, Mariam. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm just curious if I'd be able to read the comments in here because, I haven't been a part of meetings on this platform.
Yeah, we can have the comments over here.
Okay,
we can
perfect.
see the comments at the right. If
Okay, so this is Aisha. As Mariam has already told, I am the founder of Talent Beacon. It's a very mission-driven startup where we are actually working to bringing experiential learning opportunities for students as well as early career professionals. 0 to 3 years experience. That's our target. I would love if you guys explore our platform more. So you might be able to find some opportunities for yourself related to internships and also upskilling, right? So today's topic is Gen Z at work, how small wins drive continuous learning, right? So Gen Z, I think it's one of the coolest generations out here. And we are definitely taking over millennials at, some point or to some extent. And, the slides, as I hope they would be visible to everyone, right? So they are made in the Gen Z style as well. I hope you guys are able to, get your heads around how Gen Z can excel at work, what are superpowers that you can leverage, and at the same time, what are some of the challenges and how you can overcome them as Generation Z or Gen Zers, right? So I think, please confirm if I could see the comments, if the slides are perfectly visible to everyone, and then we'll just get into the slides. I think. Wait, what's here? Right. Okay. So first, I would really these are some of my Gen Zs at Talent Beacon, because it's a very Gen Z centric startup, and we have a lot of Gen Zers onboarded with us. So these are some of the very cute Gen Zs that we have got with us. I'd really love to know if I could see the comments, because I cut it out that which background are most of you guys from, right? And which semesters are you in? First, what semesters are you in, and also which backgrounds, like are you doing BBA or CS or biotech or law, whatnot? That would help me understand what kind of audience have we got in today. Okay, here are the comments. Yep, visible to me. Yes, Afifa, Arham. Okay, very familiar people. Nice topic. Okay, third semester BBA honors. BBA. Okay, I'm a BBA graduate as well. I did my specialization in marketing, but Talent Beacon is mostly relevant to HR. So both of the topics really interested me, HR and marketing. So big relate with the BBA people. BBA honors master in psychology, first semester architecture, like the diversity. More, if any. Okay, so Mariam, how many people have you gotten there? Any idea?
We have around 8 to 12 people.
8 to 12 people, right? Okay, I think
They
then
will
the ratio is
come in.
fine. Okay, right. The rest can join midway. That's fine. So I'd really want to hear some Gen Z slangs from you to understand how Gen Z are you all, or what sort of Gen Z audience have you gotten in here? Walaikum assalam. Drip. Okay, cool. First one here. Afifa, I'm looking forward to more from your end. A few more, maybe? I'm waiting for some Gen Z slangs to be shared by you so we can get started on, the very Gen Z topic, ghosting. ghosting. Okay. Slay, baddie, diva. Okay. Cool. Right. I think we can get on the slides again now. Right. Talking about Gen Z attitude at work. So, Gen Zs are actually the first digital native generation out here, right? So, what that means is that while entering into workforce, they're already equipped with all the technological skills and equipments that our grandparents or even our parents cannot even get their heads around right now. And not just our parents or grandparents, the ones who are not a part of workforce, but also the people who are actually a part of workforce right now, whom we call boomers. Even they, struggle with a lot of the technological stuff that you guys are pretty savvy at, right? So that does give you an upper hand or an edge as well, but how to utilize that edge, right? And at the same time, what are some of the things that we as Gen Z need to work upon, right? Because with this technological advancement, there have been a lot of conveniences for us in learning, acquiring knowledge, or getting our hands on information. It's just one chat gpt text away or one Google away, right? But at the same time, there are a lot of challenges which have come alongside, right? Which Gen Z struggles with, and rarely somebody talks about it, because this is the first generation to be facing those kind of challenges, and people before us didn't have such problems or such challenges, right? And there is worldwide discussion about Gen Zers at work and what kind of work environments do they want. And organizations are actually taking forward-looking organizations is taking steps towards making their organizations Gen Z friendly, because soon you guys are going to make a very bulk portion of the workforce, right? So these are some of the very commonly prevailed Gen Z traits. They want everything aesthetic, everything needs to be perfect, right? The surrounding has to be aesthetically pleasing. There should be a nice painting hanging on the wall, a nice plant on the table, right? These things are really important for people like us. So I feel like that it is actually very healthy. I mean, what's better to have a fun workplace, or what's better to have a lively environment at your workplace? And that's exactly what Gen Z craves for at their workplace, and that's what they want their work life to be like, right? To be surrounded with aesthetically pleasing environments, and also to be looking aesthetic and presentable themselves, which is, I think, something very positive and something that can bring about a lot of creative and positive energy in workplaces. Then crave dopamine. We all are used to that 15-minute reel dopamine, and then jumping on to the other reel, and then the next reel, and then the next reel. So we are dopamine addicts, right? So we jump from one source of dopamine to the other source of dopamine, and that's what we want at work as well. And this is something which has, I think, posed the most amount of challenges for us, because we want changes so quick that it's almost impossible to achieve some long-term results with that kind of dopamine rush needed every other minute, every other second, every other hour. Seeking shortcuts and hacks to be rich overnight. I wouldn't say it's the Gen Z's fault. Okay, so we have like quite a few other slangs here as well, which is aura, high one, FOMO, classy, no cap. Exactly. Fastest through small wins, time management without relying on panic mode. Okay, right. So I would really love that as I'm going through these, you can also type down the ones that you struggle with, right? Or the traits that you think you have, right? They can be out of these, like इनमें से आपको लगता है आपके साथ कोई relate करती है, you can write that up. Or you can also write some new ones that you encounter in your day-to-day life, right? Seek shortcuts and hacks to be rich overnight. Okay, so basically, it's not our fault, because when we got our hands on internet, everybody on YouTube was going like, I took this course, and this course in 3 months changed my entire life. and I'm earning millions and millions of dollars after taking that course. But the real life doesn't work like that. That's just a course selling technique, right? And most of us fell for that, and we still fall for that, that person was able to earn this $1 million after taking that one course. What's the problem with me? It's just that there's no problem with you. All the good things take time, and whoever is, putting up such content, they're either one in million, right? Or they're just posting bogus stuff that doesn't exist, that doesn't have anything to do with reality. Because whenever somebody achieves something, they really tell the shortcomings they had on the way and the number of times they failed. Because everybody on the LinkedIn is telling, I'm thrilled to share that, I have completed this certification, or I got this job, or I got this internship. But nobody shares that, now some people are, but still, every step of the way, the disappointments, the setbacks that you face while achieving something very big, um, I think you can only get to know more about them when you talk to people in person, not these influencers who are just trying to sell you something, right? Or get you into that cloud cuckoo world of getting rich overnight. There's nothing like that, honestly. Overstimulated, again, dopamine rush, want change every second, live for vibes. I think that's something good. We do live for vibes, and we want our boomers to be a little bit more chill, right? We can't put up with lengthy procedures and policies which don't make sense, right? So I feel like there is some improvement needed on the boomers end for this. I think workplaces should be lively, and you should bring your Gen Z charisma and your Gen Z vibe to the workplace. Never give that up. Even when people ask you to, do not give in to that pressure, because I think this is the vibe which is going to make you stand out and which is going to make that workplace better, right? So we have to strive for betterment. We don't have to conform to normality or mediocrity, right? Jump between tab apps and ideas, all of us every day. I think every hour, jumping from Snapchat to Instagram to Reddit to Twitter to Quora to Canva, if it's a designer at home, if it's at home, then Photoshop, then Illustrator, right? So that's how our daily life looks like, right? There's nothing new in that for us, but for a generation or two generations prior us, it is actually, something very fascinating. And they call us Steve Jobs. Oh my god, this person knows so much of internet and so much of technology. Easily influenced by social media success stories, as I told earlier, that you don't know the background, the backdrop, right? Or you're just exposed to the content which is being pushed to you by the algorithm, right? Because the algorithm knows how to trick you best, honestly. Main character traits: we all want to be hyped up, by our friends, by our teachers, by our colleagues, by our bosses, right? So I think that gets a little bit too much sometimes. Although that's good, if you want to feel main character, then you put in a lot of effort and energy too. But sometimes you want a lot of validation, right? So we actually seek a lot of validation from people around us, which is I think problematic at times, because when you don't get that validation, you feel like you are a failure. But that's not the case, right? So I'll just go over and see if there are more uh any more comments. Zainab Irfan, hi Zainab. Okay, great. Guys following, I hope it's not getting boring, because basically I'm used to, interacting with people and having them open up their mics and contribute as well. But I think that's not the possibility here, so we can go this way. But are you guys with me? Could you just, drop a thumbs up or a yes or something like that? A question: Gen Z relationship. mothers and Gen Z relationship. Okay, we can get onto that maybe. Why they don't get along? I think it depends. It depends. There is a generational gap, obviously, between your parents and yourself. So you have to understand where they're coming from, right, and what have their values been, which would be very different from your values, or where you're coming from. And you have to understand that, they can't be like exactly like your friends. They can't get the meaning of, all the slangs that you've put here, right? So for parents, I'd say, always you should be the one bending over backwards, because they already put a lot of effort into raising you, and they did bend over backwards when you didn't know stuff, right? So I think for parents it is that it's just that you should understand that they have a different generation, and sometimes they can get difficult. But you should be, taking initiatives that could patch things up if, things get rough between you two. Okay, yes. Okay, I've gotten enough yeses, so we're gonna continue. Mm-mm. Okay, the Gen Z dilemma, right? So there are some syndromes, the commonly prevailed syndromes that Gen Z has, and I don't know if you were familiar with the names of those syndromes, but I feel like all the Gen Zs do go through them at some point or another, right? So the first one being shiny object syndrome. So we have this very bad habit of jumping from one shiny thing to the other shiny thing to the other shiny thing, and not making enough out of anything, right? Like for instance, you think of, self learning is very important, and I think talent week, and maybe what we are focusing upon is people start experiencing things early. People start becoming a part of workplaces early at one level or another. Maybe if you are a student, you're in a first semester or your third semester or sixth semester, you can be a part of youth run organizations. You can be a part of startups as interns or ambassadors. You can be a part of different communities. You can attend different community events, right? You can talk to people smarter than you. You can talk to people like yourself, right? You can share ideas. I can't reiterate enough how much you learn through interacting with new people, interacting with people from different backgrounds. I think that learning is something that you probably can't do by yourself sitting on the internet. Yes, there is a lot that you can learn on the internet, but at the same time, learning by meeting new people, I think that's the most exciting kind of learning, and also that's very realistic. If you're googling something up, there is a lot that is specific to your region, that is specific to Pakistan, that is specific to Lahore or Karachi, right? And you won't be able to find that much of a relatable answer or content on internet compared to when you go out and talk to people of your age, older than you, younger than you, and you get to know their perspective on that thing. It actually broadens the horizons a lot, right? So I'd really appreciate if you are in your if you're doing your degree, or even if you've done your degree, you're doing a job, be a part of these socializing events. बहुत सारी co-working spaces होती हैं, collabs है, दफ्तर खान है, Kickstart है, they are organizing this stuff. जैसे organizations हैं, youth organizations हैं, there's ISEC, there is IEC. अगर आप upskilling अपनी करना चाहते हैं, they do have their community as well. There's Talent Beacon as well. There is I think a couple of organizations, a very nice one, Inspiring Women, that I've been a part of as well. So there are a lot of incubators जहाँ पे आपको internships मिल जाती हैं with startups who are working over there. So I think it's very important that you start early, right? So talking about the syndrome, the shiny object syndrome. So for instance, I start learning, I think of learning graphic designing, right? And when I go on YouTube and I search up that graphic designing course, midway the course, or when I'm learning that course, I see that, okay, there is this guy who is telling how he made his first $1 million through video editing, right? And I'm like, okay, that's what I want to do. I always wanted to make $1 million, so why not see his video first and then come back on it? And then we jump onto that video, and midway that video we find out something else, and they're telling that video editing is outdated. Actually, 2D 3D animation is the future, so you should learn 2D 3D animation. And there you just fell into a trap, right? Because you just kept switching your focus, and that's not just there, that's not just limited to learning a new skill. That's also the case when you're at job, right? Gen Z's switch more jobs than ever, right? They hop from one job to the other job because they get bored, because they think that, I've seen all this job had to offer, right? Now let me move to the next one. Yes, job switching is important, but such frequent switching doesn't even give a good impression on your resume. So it's something very important to be considered, right? So how many of you have fallen a prey to the shiny object syndrome? If you could just, type in the chat me, or raise your hand or something, because I honestly did fell a lot to this trap, until I found out that if I am investing my time into something, for instance, I just stick to that graphic designing course, right? And I was like, okay, मैंने इस course को complete करना है, and then I'm gonna follow along this person. Like, there was a time that I was actually learning graphic designing. That was my approach, and I'm gonna follow along this person. I didn't become a graphic designing professional, but at every point that graphic designing skill was helpful to me. So it's not necessary कि आप जिस चीज के लिए सीख रहे हो आपको वो डायरेक्टली रिजल्ट दे, या आपकी जर्नी एग्जैक्टली उस मेंटोर की तरह हो जिस मेंटोर से आप सीख रहे थे. It can reward you in different ways, right? Directly or indirectly, you always get rewarded for the effort you put into something, until or unless you put enough efforts into that, right? So if you're putting efforts into something and you're considering one specific reward, you might not get that reward, but you will definitely get rewarded for it one way or another, one place or another, right? Graphic designing skill has been actually helpful for me at every point in Talent Beacon. When I was working in, the placements of my university. Before that, when I was a part of different organizations, when I did my internships, when I am at work now, it has, been handy for me every step of the way. Okay, so do we have some comments saying me or yes? Or have you guys not experienced this shiny object syndrome thing? Is it just me? Yeah, okay. So we have some people saying, yes, that's me. Okay, right. Then there's imposter syndrome, doubting your skills and avoiding leadership roles. That was me as well, honestly. Doubting your skills, and you're saying that, no, I'm not good enough for this, or it's too early for me. I think जब लोग undergrad में होते हैं especially, so उनका बहुत दफा ये argument होता है कि it's too early for me, I'm too young. That's the best part, that you're too young. Because if you are too young and you invest your time into something, even if that thing doesn't pay off, right, or maybe you struggle with that, that's the perfect learning opportunity for you, because you learn more from failure than you learn from success, right? It is an established fact that failure is going to teach you way more than success. And sometimes people who get successful early, they're actually blinded by their success so much that they end up doing stupid stuff. So if you're taking for instance, there's a leadership role out here, and I'm like, I'm not sure if I can do it or not, but I sign up for it anyway and I get selected there, and then I'm like, okay, I don't know what to do, right? I seek guidance. I start asking people, okay, what to do. I start asking my seniors, I start asking my mentors, the people around me, right? And I get insight. आपको क्लियर स्पून फीड तो कोई भी नहीं करता, लेकिन आपको थोड़ी थोड़ी इंसाइट हर जगह से मिल जाती है, राइट? You put those pieces together, right? The pieces of puzzle together, and you try to make sense out of it, right? Then you go about executing any task that has been given to you, और उसमें आपसे कुछ चीज़ें सही होती हैं, कुछ चीज़ें नहीं सही होती. जो चीज़ें नहीं सही होती, they actually served as the perfect experience for you, through which you learned to not do that again, right? So you did fail at one point, right, or in one area, but that failure was the perfect opportunity for you to know that what exactly not to do if I want to achieve a certain result, right? Moving on, there's instant gratification syndrome. If you're aware of the marshmallow test, जो हार्वर्ड ने करवाया था, जिसमें there were groups of two people, right? uh, there were kids, like small kids, I think toddlers or something, right? uh, Kids in like class 1 or 2, I'm not really sure about that, but they were split in two groups, right? And all of them were told that you're given one marshmallow, right? If you eat it right now without waiting for 15 minutes, you're only going to get this one marshmallow, but if you wait for 15 minutes, you're going to get three marshmallows, right? And they actually observed that entire study, and at the end of the study, there were some students or some kids who gave in, right, and they ate that marshmallow because they just couldn't resist the temptation to eat that marshmallow that was right in front of them. And there were others who waited, right, and their patience was tested. That was the marshmallow test, right? That was the whole point of the marshmallow test. And at the end, they got three marshmallows. So they waited for 15 minutes, even though the marshmallows were right in front of them. And when they started, they actually followed along the lives of those kids. And when they started their lives, they found out that the students who gave in to the temptation were very less successful compared to the students who had patience and who actually waited 15 minutes, right, passing that instant gratification test, right, to take a higher reward, right? So a lot of the times we do that. We give into something that brings about instant gratification instead of putting consistent efforts into something to get paid off in the longer run, right? So this is something, because I think Gen Z is like that. They're so energetic. They're used to those 15 seconds reel, which change every, of course, if it's a 15-second reel, then there's gonna come another 15-second reel, so it changes with the blink of an eye, right? And I think this is something that there's a very big dilemma for us, because it has shortened our attention span so much that we can't even focus on things for longer. So this is something that we should be more mindful about, that what are we taking in and what's the point of it, right? Are we using social media, or is social media using us? Then comparison syndrome, comparing yourself to somebody. Like if I start out, you know I start out making videos today or vlogs today, and then I go and compare myself with Muru, or I compare myself with Irfan Junejo. Does that make sense? That doesn't, right? Because he has put so much time into it, and now he is at a point. Why am I not seeing the 1,000 days that he has put into it, right? So you're comparing your first day to somebody's 1,000 day. How is that going to make sense anyway, right? Okay. So guys, please show a sign of life by sending some emoji. uh is there a lot of disruption in my voice? Is there Mariam, कोई disruption है voice में?
No, it's perfectly fine. Muhammad Kazim, you should rejoin. It could be much better then.
Okay, so guys, please show some sign of life. Send some emoji or something, so I get the feeling that I'm talking to real people, not walls. Okay, I got I got from two people I'm facing on both LinkedIn and YouTube also. There must be something with your internet, probably. This session is so relatable. High five. Where's my team gone? मेरी team के message नहीं आ रहे. Okay, never mind. Let's just get back to the slides because we have to wrap it up soon. वरना आप लोग बोर होके इसको भी छोड़ दोगे because there's this problem with every Gen Z. We can't wait for too long. So let's just get on to that again. Comparison syndrome is done. Okay. Now, the Gen Z edge. What is something that you can leverage? What is something that gives you an upper hand? What is something that you have but the boomers and millennials don't have? I feel for millennials, I think millennials are still a little relatable, but boomers are everywhere in the workplace. अब जब किसी job पे जाते हैं तो आप देखते हैं not startups, but अगर किसी established company में जाएंगे, you'll see that boomers are everywhere, right? And it's very hard to get your point across the boomers. I respect boomers, of course. They are the people who are our elders or our mentors or supervisors and stuff. But there's a big gap between boomers and Gen Zers, right? So what is something that you can bring to the table that even boomers can be impressed by that? लेकिन मैंने एक चीज देखी है कि boomers बहुत कुछ होते हैं जो resist भी करते हैं, majority resist करते हैं, but when they see that okay, this person is bringing in new energy and creativity, fresh ideas, they're like okay, very appreciative of it as well, because at that point their creativity has died. ठीक है, आप जब फ्रेश यूनिवर्सिटी से आते हो, फ्रेश कॉलेज से आते हो, तो आपके जो आइडियाज होते हैं वो उनको कम्पीट नहीं कर सकते. ठीक है, एंड आई थिंक यूनिवर्सिटी के बाद और यूनिवर्सिटी से तो लर्निंग स्टार्ट होती है. इट्स नेवर द एंड ऑफ लर्निंग. नेवर कंसिडर दैट अगर आपने बीबीए कर लिया या एमबीए कर लिया सो इट्स द स्टॉप ऑफ योर लर्निंग. इट्स जस्ट द स्टार्ट ऑफ योर लर्निंग. There was a consultant that I met a few weeks back, and I was talking to him. He was very relatable for Gen Zers and for even Gen Alpha, he was saying. And I was like, how do you stay so updated with all the trends, and how do you relate with them so much? Because बहुत ज़्यादा interactive session, there were a lot of activities and stuff like that. So he was like, it's just learning. I study it. I work on it because I have to keep up with this generation. If I don't keep up with this generation, I would never be able to be a bridge, because he was a consultant, to be a bridge between the boomers and the Gen Zers, right? So learning never stops, and if it stops for you, I think that's the end. That's the end of your life, because if you're not going to learn more, if you're not going to explore more, what's the point of your life? अगर आपने मतलब डोंकी वर्क करना है, ठीक है, जो आपको कहेंगे, इंस्ट्रक्ट करेंगे, आपको कर लोगे. You're not going to bring your creativity to the table. You're not give fresh ideas, or you're not going to even question the things which nobody else has questioned ever since. कि ये चीजें ऐसे क्यों होती है, right? Maybe they need improvement, but nobody had the confidence to speak up for that. So how to leverage the Gen Z edge? First, you guys are technology savvy and hustlers, right? So a study by Dawn showed that 80% of Gen Zs have side hustles, right? So side hustles का मकसद क्या होता है? To have a purpose in life. Gen Z is the generation not to chase. Yes, they do want to be well paid for their work, but they're the ones to chase purpose more than chasing money, right? I think that's something very positive for our nation, right? If all of us, if all of the Gen Zers start chasing purpose instead of just money and instead of just big titles, what sort of world would it be? One can imagine. You're technology savvy and hustlers, right? So what you can do is you can use the social media, YouTube, Reddit, Quora, the news we have available very mindfully, right? And organize your life around it, right? Not scrolling through the reels, doom scrolling, on Instagram or Facebook. तो हमारी generation use नहीं करती. On Instagram or TikTok वैसे मैं नहीं use करती, लेकिन खैर TikTok or any other social media platform, use it to your advantage. I know entertainment is important. Take out your time for entertainment. Watch a good season. Watch some documentary, right? But be mindful about what you're watching and how it's going to impact your life, right? And how much of it I should be watching, right? So there are a lot of organizing tools. आपकी बहुत सारी apps हैं, आपके पास Notion है, वहाँ पे time track हो जाता है. There are to-do list, something as simple as आपको पता है कितनी gratification मिलती है when you just make a to-do list जिसमें it can be something like 5 time prayer a day, ठीक है? Reading 10 pages भी चले ज़्यादा हो गया तो 5 pages of book a day, and learning a skill, okay, for like maybe half an hour, right? And when you check off that list by the end of the day, it brings immense gratification, right? It brings immense pleasure and sense of accomplishment. And if you don't set out these small goals and you don't write them in front of you, you would never be able to feel accomplished. Because I think for Gen Zers, it's very important to feel accomplished, to feel a sense of purpose in whatever you're doing. I know I've done so much stuff just because I was feeling like there's a purpose behind it. I'm not doing it, only for myself. There is something larger than life. And I think what what a wonderful world it would be if we all start living for a purpose and we have something larger than life to work upon, other than just thinking about ourselves and how we're going to glorify ourselves on Instagram and how we're going to post that success story on LinkedIn, right? So yeah, that's my take on it. But of course, everybody's preferences could be different. But that's also a Gen Z's point of view according to studies. Creative and purpose driven. I think it has already been talked about, that experiment with things, right? Try out new things. You will figure out what your interest lies in. बहुत सारे लोग होते हैं जो कहते हैं मुझे नहीं पता मेरा क्या passion है. I don't know what my interests are or where my interest lies. So yeah, what can I do about that? Experiment with different things. You will eventually find something that you actually really like. And if you look at the people who have been successful, अगर आप उनकी केस स्टडीज जाके पढ़ें, आप उनकी सक्सेस स्टोरीज देखें जो ऑर्गेनिकली ग्रो की है, मैं उनकी बात नहीं कर रही जो जिनकी आप यूट्यूब वीडियोस देखते हैं, लेकिन जिन्होंने ऑर्गेनिकली ग्रो की है, all of them were very passionate about the thing they were doing, even if they were not making any money, even if it was not benefiting them directly. They were really really passionate about the thing they were working upon, क्योंकि अगर आप सिर्फ पैसे को चेज करेंगे तो you'll burn out very soon. पैसे are important, but it's a byproduct. It comes by when you are good at something, when you have developed your skill in something. एक मसला जो हम लोगों ने बहुत देखा है, because we do talent acquisition as well, वो ये कि people do not know how to communicate well. I think that's an essential skill for survival. Survival in a dignified way. If you cannot communicate yourself well, I think it does come on top for anybody, for the tech people, for the business people, for anybody. Because if you want to go towards managerial positions, your communication skills are going to help you so much. So I would really encourage you all to be working on your communication skills as much as you can, because अच्छा उसके लिए avenues क्या हैं? YouTube is the best source to learn English. There are English learning channels, search them up, ठीक है? English, conversational English, वहाँ से देखें आप. You can take help from ChatGPT as well. Follow along, practice in front of the mirror. That's actually the best way of learning English. Practice as much as you can. If you're shy, if you struggle with even speaking the basic sentences, practice kare with yourself, in front of the mirror, with your siblings, anybody that you do not feel judged with, right? Confident and transparent. So just मैंने पहले बताया था, participate in meetings. Don't feel like I'm too young to participate in this meeting. No. If you think you've got a point, ये भी नहीं कि right आपके पास कुछ बोलने के लिए हो भी ना और आप सोचे समझे बगैर कुछ कह दें, ठीक है? लेकिन if you think you've got a point and you have the right to ask question, ask that question, ठीक है? Because the generation prior to you was very less confident compared to you guys. Generation Z is much more confident than boomers, than even millennials. Social and inclusive. Mostly Gen Z want a sense of community, और अब तो लोग हजारों रुपए दे के ये therapy workshops attend कर रहे होते हैं और इस तरह की workshops attend कर रहे होते हैं जिसमें they feel like they're retrieving that human connection, that human connection is coming back. They're talking to real people, not just algorithms, and they're not just seeing the people they don't even know. They're just seeing their stories on the internet, and there's no sense of personal connection. So experience things and learn from other people. Taking the first steps towards any goal, I think I have gone over most of them till now, right? Dopamine fasting is also very important. That if you take high doses of dopamine, it's also important that you set out some time and you don't take dopamine in that time, right? And you're aware when social media starts consuming you instead of you consuming social media. Use social media to your advantage. As I said, they're extremely helpful, fun learning platforms on YouTube, which you should definitely explore. Yes, most content would be in English, like in Urdu में भी बहुत सच है, लेकिन English में I think you can learn anything from YouTube, right? Explore that platform. If you struggle with that and you want to enroll in a course, enroll in that, right? Because उसमें आपको एक sense of community मिल जाती है. There's like peer-to-peer learning as well. There are other people learning the same topic with you, right? So and there are some skills जिनके लिए आपको ज़रूरत भी पड़ती है, right? So do that, लेकिन उस पर फिर अपनी effort दें, अपनी energy दें, and don't just get confused कि अच्छा मैंने अब एक में कर लिया है तो अब नहीं, मुझे लग रहा है इसका स्कोप तो नहीं है, क्योंकि मुझे वो YouTube वीडियो में जो इन्फ्लुएंसर थे जो YouTube गुरु थे वो बता रहे थे, इंस्टाग्राम गुरु में जब बता रहे थे कि ये चीज तो आउटडेट हो चुकी है. नो, गिव योर टाइम टू इट. इट विल पे ऑफ वन वे और अनदर. Use a journal and AI assisted learning prompts. आपको AI can help tremendously. Don't be shy to use ChatGPT, but please don't just copy paste it, because we see it every time, all the time, everywhere, that people do not even bother to change, make basic changes, minor changes, which at least make it look humanized, right? And journaling, I think journaling is very important. Journaling is writing down. If you're feeling very overwhelmed and you're like, I don't know what to do, try writing it down. Writing things down, jotting things down, that actually helps a great deal. There's this case study on our OG Pakistani YouTuber. He's actually one of my favorites, and one that I started watching in my metric, Irfan Junaid. You see his journey. How did he start? Without any equipment, without with a single iPhone, right? And that was also iPhone 6 something probably, right? And he grew organically. But where he is now, he knows exactly where he wants to go, right? Or मेरे ख्याल से किसी को भी नहीं पता होता exactly where he or she wants to go. But when you grow organically, you have the chance to fail organically as well, right? The people who you see wo jo trend ke through they become success stories, they actually make very big blunders as well, because unko success itni jaldi mil gayi hoti hai jitni jaldi wo ready bhi nahi hote success ke liye, right? Founder and CEO of Apple, I think there's this movie called Jobs, which is made on Steve Jobs, and he started out in a garage, right? But he was really passionate about it, and he gave us all to it. He took the risk, right? But I'm just presenting these two case studies to you, so you go and study the lives of people who actually grew organically, and the time it took for them to go from zero to the point they are at today, right? And both of these people, although very different examples, but both of these people were very passionate about the work they were doing, right? So my advice would be, ending the session, start today, start early, fail early. Don't be ashamed of failures, or don't be ashamed of starting out, right? If you're too young, that's the best opportunity for you to start out, right? If you are young, that's always in your favor, right? So yeah, that's all from my side. If there are any questions, please feel free to drop them. Thank you so much, Mariam, for having me. And Amna, sorry, Asma, sorry, and Asma. It was nice talking about the topic. I think it was a nice topic to share some personal experiences upon.
Exactly. I enjoyed throughout the session. Sometimes it's like that we get zoned out of the sessions, but no, it was like something very connected, very relatable. Sometimes I feel like I'm Gen Z. Sometimes I feel like no, I belong to Boomers, millennials. Where I want to just sit alone and write poetries. But no, sometimes it's like no, I'm a Gen Z person. So I think it's very relatable. I love the case studies also. So some of the examples that I came in my mind were like we see this all around, that Starbucks and all these brands, very top high rated brands were like once a small startup as well. So I think it was a very very interesting session. I think the topic matches you so well. Your energy, it's just so great. So I think we have this question that how
Okay.
to so this is a question: how do small wins help Gen Z build confidence, reduce burnout, and stay engaged in a long-term career?
Can you just come again? Sorry.
There's this question that how to stay long, like in like long-term career growth. How just Gen Z do this?
How to stay in long-term career growth, right? Is that
Yeah,
the question?
yeah. It goes like that: how to reduce
Okay.
burnout and
So
stay confident.
Hmm. Okay, so first of all, I think it depends on the workplace that you have, right? Sometimes, if you're a freelancer and you're working on your own, then that would be a different case. But if you're working on a 9 to 5 job, that's going to be a different case. So I think you have to make work and learning fun for yourself, right? If somebody else is not doing it for you, because there are organizations in my HR जो है वो बहुत ज़्यादा effort put करते हैं and coming together with initiatives which develops that sense of community. अगर आपकी can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Hello, am I audible? Okay,
Yes,
okay.
you are
ठीक
audible.
है, अगर ऐसा नहीं है, so you have to make it fun for yourself. Sorry.
Nothing. It might be some distortion.
Mm, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. Am
You
I?
are audible.
I think there is. Okay, yeah, you are. Three distortion थी, so I didn't get it. Okay, so I think the best way to stay motivated is, first of all, be a part of communities, right? Talk to real people, not the people, ठीक है, जो Instagram वगैरह पे content बना रहे होते हैं, ठीक है? You can talk to them like you talk to somebody whom you know from an event, right? Or वहाँ से, you sit down with them and you have a one-on-one chat with them. It can never be like that. Become a part of communities, engage in community events, but at the same time set small goals for yourself, that this is how I'm going to make my life better, or make my learning more fruitful, right? And there's also this concept of working in your circle of influence and working in your circle of control. I think one of the mics is turned on, so इसलिए थोड़ी distortion हो रही है. Okay, so there's a book called Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. Usme there's this concept which says that there's circle of influence and circle of control. Circle of control is the one जिसमें जो चीजें हैं you can't do anything about them, right? Identify what is the circle of control and then identify what is the circle of influence. Circle of influence is the one जो चीजें आप कर सकते हो which are in your hands to improve your life, right? Like for instance, if we talk about uh, get getting rich overnight again, right? So what you can't do is you know get money directly straight away without learning any skill. But what you can do is actually start investing in time in building a skill, and that would eventually pay off, right? What you can't do is change somebody who has a problematic personality, change their personality. You can't do that. But what you can do is uh, you become more aware, right, of their personality, and then you take steps necessary to deal with them, right? Or you practice patience, or you practice also empathetic listening is very important, right? So identify what lies in your circle of influence and start working on that, right? uh, a
Yeah,
must
I
read
must say
book,
that
yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's my take on that. Any other questions?
no, I think there aren't any other questions. Thank you so much, Aisha. It was great having you.
Time to wipe up.
Thank you for having me. It was nice talking to you all.
Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Aisha. It
sure.
was an amazing session.
Thank you, Asma. Thank you, guys. And a great shout out to Mariam and Asma and also the IEC team for putting together these sessions for young people. I hope this one was helpful. If you guys need help, you can also reach out on LinkedIn, or also be a part of Talent Beacon community as well, because we do share resources we find helpful for you guys over there. And yeah, that's all from my side. Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.
Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.
Aisha, can we take the last?
Uh, Aisha, can we take a screenshot with you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Thank you so much. See you next time. Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz. Bye bye.